The Lord our God said to us in Horeb, you have dwelt long enough on this mountain. Turn and take up your journey and go to the hill country of the Amorites and all the neighbors in the Arabah, in the hills, in the lowland. Somebody say lowland.
Lowland.
In the lowland, the south of Negev, and on the coast, the land of the Canaanites and Lebanon, and as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. Verse 8. Behold, I set the land before you. Go and take possession of the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, and to give to them and to their descendants after them. Don't miss this. Verse 6. The Lord, our God, said to us in Horeb, you have dwelt long enough on this mountain.
Amen.
Keep this thought in mind. I want to talk to you from this thought in mind. Life's seesaw moments. Life seesaw moments. Some of us, if we can think back when we were young and we went to the playground, some of us have to think back a little bit further than others, but if we just think back, when we were in the playground, they had the little merry-go-round and they had the swings and they always had the seesaw. But as children, we never knew how to pick friends. We really didn't, and we didn't care. And when it came down to riding and getting on a seesaw, if you had a friend that was 20 pounds heavier than you, your seesaw experience would leave you hanging in the air. If you had a friend that was 20 pounds lighter than you, your seesaw experience would keep you on the ground. And it's something just like life. If you have someone that's a friend and he says he's a friend, we don't even know how to pick friends, but sometimes they leave you hanging in the air, and then other times they leave you down on the ground. But something about this seesaw experience. Paul, can you help us in Philippians? Paul says in Philippians 4:12, I've been abased and I've been abound. He said, I've been full and I've been hungry and I've been full. But he says in verse 11, he says in verse 11, I want you to hear this. Listen to this. In verse 11, he says, I have learned whatever state I'm in, I've learned to be content. In other words, he understood that in order to live this life, I have to have, somebody shout, balance. I have to have balance. So he understood that it needed to be balanced in his life. And just like he needs balance, we need balance in our lives. The ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, the mountains and the valleys. Mountains and the valley. Mountain represents, don't miss this, prosperities and principles. Mountain represents prosperities and principles. Valley represents patience and pain. Say it again. Mountains represent prosperity and principles, but valleys represents patience and pain. You'll never get a chance to go to the mountain if you haven't learned how to deal with patience and pain. You can't get to the mountain if you haven't experienced patience. Another word for patience is long suffering. If you haven't suffered long, you can't realize how to handle yourselves in the mountain. Dr. Spencer Johnson, a medical doctor,